What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In honor of hitting 100 subs, we're doing a little bit different of a video today. I figured I would come back in the room, and in honor of hitting 100 subs, I would do a little story time video for you guys. So, without further ado, this is gonna be the story time of my craziest offshore fishing experience of my life. It's definitely one that I'll never forget. It's gonna always be in the back of my mind, and it has me constantly remembering that you have to respect Mother Nature and you have to respect the ocean, and that, you know, what she wants is what happens. So yeah, it doesn't always go your way when you're out there on the ocean, and you have to respect that. Oh yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, baby. So, a little bit of background information before I start off the story. This actually happened on our old boat. We had a 25-foot Nautic Star with twin 150 Yamahas on it. It was an amazing boat. We caught a ton of fish on that boat. We took a lot of trips on that boat. My first time going to the Bahamas was on that boat. My first time spearing a hogfish was on that boat. My first mahi that I ever caught in my life was on that boat. A lot of stuff happened on that boat that I won't forget, and this story primarily is one of those ones that's going to be burned in the back of my mind pretty much forever. So this experience really gave me a new, profound respect for the ocean, for Mother Nature. I had never seen anything this crazy on the water before. I had never been stuck in a storm that bad before. In general, let alone on a boat in the middle of the ocean. So it was a pretty eye-awakening experience for me and also for my whole family. Yeah, so let's get into it. So the story starts off like a normal day adventure. My family was in town. Shout out to my Uncle Mike, my Aunt Erica, my cousins Gabby, Vanessa, and Bryn, because they were there to experience this firsthand. And I'm telling you, it was not a good first impression for Florida boating for them, because they are actually from Ohio. So, scared them a little bit on that one. But we figured we'd take them out, go do some fishing, be out in the Florida sun. They'd have a good time. They were on vacation, so that's what it started out. We went to the boat ramp. We loaded up with ice and bait, and we headed out of the Jupiter Inlet, which, as I'm sure some of you know, the Jupiter Inlet is famous for being one of the most dangerous inlets in Florida. Now, this experience didn't happen inside of the inlet rather than it happened outside of the inlet, but nonetheless, it was scary. We headed out of the Jupiter Inlet, we steamed directly east, and we went to one of our bait spots out there, and we were kind of showing everybody the ropes. We were busting out the sabikis, we were catching live baits, we were putting tons of bait into live wells, filling them up with plans to head out and hit a deep reef, hopefully to get them on the biggest fish that they've ever caught in their life, and just have an absolute blast. So that's what we did. We loaded the live wells, we chugged way out to one of our deeper reef spots out of Jupiter, and we just started fishing. Like, we were catching some fish out there, kind of, you know, just showing them how we do it. And it's giving me chills talking about it, because whew, that was a scary experience. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So we're out here on our bottom spot, and we're dropping baits down. Everybody has a pole, everybody's hanging out, we're having a great time. And we're checking the weather, we're keeping an eye on the afternoon storms. It doesn't look like anything crazy is gonna come through, so we just push on. We're fishing our bottom spot. We've caught a couple fish by now. Everybody's having an absolute blast. And this is kind of where things start to take a turn for the worst, because as we're sitting there fishing, the temperature is slowly dropping, and as a big weather system moves in, oftentimes you'll feel the temperature kind of drop like that. It went from being super hot and sweating and like going swimming in the ocean to it was cold and you could feel it. Like you just knew that something was coming. And it was almost in this, like the scratch of a record stopping, that a huge storm front was right on us with no way to go around it, no way to escape it, and the wind started picking up like crazy. Now we're out here drifting this deep wreck, and this weather movement rolls up on us, and it's kind of hectic at first because the ocean is lake flat. It is glass out there, and we are just drifting our bottom spots. We're catching fish. And I would say in about a time span of 5 minutes after we felt this cold air, the ocean went from being lake flat to 2 to 3s, super choppy, whitecaps everywhere. And we knew at that time that it was time to pull the lines up and it was time to start heading back to the inlet. And by the time we figured this out, it was obviously too late. Because another 5 minutes passed by before we could even get all the lines up and the rods situated. We were chugging through a god honest 3 to 5 wind chop, super close together. It was, the boat was coming down. We were taking water over the bow almost every wave. We're kind of tacking back and forth, trying to make forward progress, trying to keep the bow into the waves. And it kind of started getting scary because as all of this is happening and the wind is picking up and it's getting progressively rougher, the rain starts and the storming starts. So now not only we're fighting the wind, we're fighting huge gnarly chop and tacking back and forth in this little 25-foot center console. And it's just getting worse and worse by the minute. Like, this is the worst squall line that any of us have been in out on the water by far, beats it by a mile. And we just got to keep pushing through it. There's nothing we can do. We're pounding through the waves. We're tacking back and forth, trying to make forward progress back to the inlet. We're trying to make it through this gnarly wind chop. It's 3 to 5s by now, and we cannot see anything. It is so hard to distinguish the sea spray coming over the bow, the rain pelting you in the face. You can't see anything. And by this moment, everybody is completely freaked out. They're keeping their cool long enough to let me and my dad drive the boat through it and kind of not get us worried because, you know, we were definitely scared, but we were comfortable driving the boat. We knew what we were doing. And probably another 5 minutes goes by, and it keeps building. Like, the waves are getting just gnarlier and gnarlier. The sky is pitch black. There's thunder. It's pouring, and we're just trying to make forward progress. I mean, we were getting blown around so badly. So now, as if Mother Nature wasn't throwing enough at us with all of the weather and everything like that, the boat starts to break. And this is kind of where the wheels fall off a little bit, and it starts to get into one of those situations where we were breaking out the life jackets. We had the EPIRB ready. We honestly thought that we were going to be stuck in this storm and that the boat wasn't going to make it out. So at this point, the house battery in the boat died. How, I'm not really sure. The radio went out. We lost the Garmin. We lost the VHF radio. We had the switches turned over. The motors weren't charging the batteries enough. And it started snowballing into this really big problem that we had. We don't even know if the bilge pumps were working. So now the stress is building up. It's starting to turn into one of those really bad moments. And we're sitting out here fighting all these extremities, and this, I still laugh about it today because it's funny. This 39-foot contender just comes right over the chop, right around us. sipping a beer in the back, not giving a single crap. And we're sitting there fighting these waves, and they just cruised on by, and they were gone. And we were using the compass on the boat to navigate kind of where we were. And that's all we had. We knew that we couldn't go directly back to the inlet because we were facing a head sea. And any of those that people have out there who have piloted in a head sea, and you know that it beats the crap out of your boat. You take water over the bow all the time. It's not a fun experience. And in this, I don't know, 5 to 8 foot chop, 8 to 10 foot chop, this boat is getting beat. And we decide that we're going to have to tack back with the following sea to try to get closer to land. So we finally started making progress towards land, but we were going the opposite direction from the inlet. We weren't taking as much water over the bow, which was a good thing. We were making it further from where we wanted to go, but it was a safer situation. We weren't taking on as much water. It was still storming like crazy, and we kind of made it in close enough to kind of be closer to land and realize where we were. And at this point, we can see the Jupiter Inlet Lighthouse spinning around from where we are. We can see a faint light in the distance, and that's kind of how we knew where to go, was to follow that lighthouse, which is kind of ironic because they don't use them as much as they used to. But in our situation, it really did help us. It took us back to the inlet. And we were worried that when we got there, we would have to wait out the storm outside of the inlet because, as some of you guys know, that inlet is notorious for being one of the most dangerous inlets in Florida. The waves stack up in there like crazy, and I would say that it's possible that a large boat could be capsized in that inlet for sure, without a doubt. I've seen that inlet crazy. And I'm sure you guys have seen videos and everything like that all over the internet of that inlet. It is known to be gnarly. So we ended up cruising, tucking back in the inlet, and that boat got us there safely. We made it back into the intercoastal, and that boat handled that situation like a champ. Obviously, I'm still here to talk about it today, even though for a second there I had a little bit of doubt in my mind. I was that scared, and I'm sure everybody else on the boat was that scared. It was really just an eye-opening experience that you've got to respect the ocean and Mother Nature, because she can throw curveballs at you like that all the time. And that's why I recommend, if you guys do any kind of boating in the ocean or anywhere, large bodies of water, that you guys have either an EPIRB or a PLB, a personal locator beacon. That way, if you get in an emergency situation and you need to use it, you have it. And that's kind of going to be one of the messages going with this video, is you don't know when something like that is going to happen. So it's just better to be prepared. We had a ditch kit made. Our ditch kit has water dye, spare flares, flare gun, mirrors, whistles. We have our PLBs. We're prepared that in the event that we needed to use the ditch bag, that we had it. And that's important for you guys. If you guys are watching this and you don't have one made for your boat, and you're out there a lot fishing in the ocean, do yourself a favor, man, and put a ditch bag together. Get you an EPIRB. I know they're a little expensive, but you don't want to be in a situation where you need it and you don't have it, is my thing. So yeah, guys, that is the story of the scariest offshore fishing experience I have ever had in my life. And it still stands today, and it still gives me chills. It's like just kind of one of those things that I'm going to carry with me as a reminder, and I'm not going to forget it because it could happen again, man. You don't really know. You can't predict those kind of things. You just have to be ready when it happens. And I'm glad that we were prepared. I'm glad that we had the experience to drive the boat properly, to get everybody back to shore safely. I'm glad that we had the proper safety equipment. It really was just one of those crazy experiences, and I will never forget it. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that story time video in honor of us hitting 100 subs on the channel. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and I want to hear what your guys' craziest fishing experience is, whether that's from land, on a boat, inshore, offshore, bass fishing. I will be checking those guys out in the comments below, and have a wonderful day, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. Peace.